Okay, the story behind 80's Kid, an original song I wrote. It was a few months back, probably earlier this year, being 2024. I bought this drum machine right here, a Behringer RD6. It's modeled after either a Roland or Boss drum machine from the 80's. I can't remember which one. But anyway, so I purchased it. I got the purple one because it was the cheapest. Anyway, that's my reasoning behind that one. They come in many different colors. So I wanted to learn how to use a drum machine. I thought it looked kind of cool. Watched some videos on it and on YouTube. So I wind up buying it, and I was like, I'm gonna make a song with this. So I come up with a beat, kind of figured out how to make patterns with it, and came up with a beat. And so I started layering instruments over the drum machine, over the beat. And then when it came time to kind of write words and got a riff going, got some ideas for some lyrics, I was like, oh, when it is like, I remember the days of records and tapes, thinking about the record stores back when you had to go to the record store or TG&Y or whatever it may be, Walmart or Sam Goody or whatever was in your area, Tower Records. You had to go to the record store to buy music. The 7-Eleven arcade room, back when 7-Elevens had arcade rooms growing up, which is, kids these days wouldn't, they didn't grow up with that. And then, started naming some movies, and the music was awesome in the 1980s, and it was just quite a decade to grow up in as a kid, to just hearing all the music and seeing all the music videos. MTV was at the height of, they played videos back then 24 hours a day. It was all about the music, man. So I started to realize that, oh, this is a nostalgic piece. I started writing things from my childhood, and just kind of recapturing those things. And then I have a nephew who's a really good saxophone player. I was going to have him do the saxophone solo on that, and I was like, well, I don't know. It's hard to schedule things. We live quite a distance from each other, and he's a busy guy, and I have my job and stuff like that. He has a family. So I was like, well, let's just go with the keyboard saxophone. Kind of add to the cheesiness of it. So it's a cheesy song. It's a nostalgic piece. It's just a fun song. It's not not really serious. It's just looking back on something, looking back, on where you grew up and where you came from, and it kind of reminds me of the Joe Jackson song "Stepping Out" or whatever. Do 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 do. It kind of reminds me of that. So I was trying to capture the essence of the '80s, and then maybe chucking some guitar in there, kind of like Hall and Oates, Man Eater or something. Da 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 da. That kind of thing. So I was trying to capture that spirit of the 1980s, what I grew up with, that Hall and Oates and stuff like that. Like I said, the Joe Jackson song and all that stuff, and then mentioning dancing on the ceiling and Cool in the Gang, Cherish the Love, all that stuff, just embodying the references from Back to the Future, which was one of the biggest movies of the 80s, one of my favorite movies. And I, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, one of the best movies ever made. The sequel and the part three, but the sequel was really bad. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry to any fans of those movies, but the first one, absolute classic, iconic movie and soundtrack. Huey Lewis and the News, come on, you kidding me? You know, just the reference to the Huey Lewis song. You know, you don't need a credit card to ride this train. You know, Power of Love, all that stuff is just references to, you know, the, you know, the music of the 80s, the things that were iconic about the 80s. So I just thought I'd make a short film or a short video on how 80s Kid come about. It was just kind of incidental. It was just, I bought this drum machine, figured out how to make a beat pattern on it, and then built instruments on top of that. And then it all came together. I was like, oh, why don't we do a song about the 80s? It was quite spontaneous. So, yeah. And those are some of the funnest moments of music creation, is when it's spontaneous and a song comes together in like 30 minutes. You know, a song writes itself, basically. This is one of those songs. It basically wrote itself. And I'm just paying homage to artists and music and movies that inspired me as a, you know, impressionable young man. That's all I have to say about 80s Kid. You know, if you're curious, go check out my song, 80s Kid. I know you're not supposed to direct people. You're supposed to act like you're not promoting songs and music and stuff like that. You're not supposed to do that. That's taboo. Just play it cool. Oh, okay. Don't check out my song. Don't. It's, you know, what are we even talking about?